Proverbs chapter 5, breakdown from different Bibles for understanding. Proverbs chapter 5, easy to read version. The wisdom of avoiding adultery. Verse 1, Son, listen to this piece of wisdom from me. Pay attention to what I know to be true. Verse 2, remember to live wisely, and what you learn will keep your lips from saying the wrong thing. Verse 3, now, another man's wife might be very charming, and the words from her lips so sweet and inviting. Verse 4, but in the end, she will bring only bitterness and pain. It will be like bitter poison and a sharp sword. Verse 5, she is on a path leading to death, and she will lead you straight to the grave. Verse 6, don't follow her. She has lost her way and does not even know it. Be careful. Stay on the road that leads to life. Verse 7, now, my sons, listen to me. Don't forget the words I say. Verse 8, stay away from the woman who commits adultery. Don't even go near her house. Verse 9, if you do, others will get the honor you should have had. Some stranger will get everything you worked years to get. Verse 10, people you don't know will take all your wealth. Others will get what you worked for. Verse 11, at the end of your life, you will be sad that you ruined your health and lost everything you had. Verse 12 through 13, then you will say, why didn't I listen to my parents? Why didn't I pay attention to my teachers? I didn't want to be disciplined. I refused to be corrected. Verse 14, so now I have suffered through just about every kind of trouble anyone can have, and everyone knows it. Verse 15, now about sex and marriage. Drink only the water that comes from your own well. Verse 16, and don't let your water flow out into the streets. Verse 17, keep it for yourself, and don't share it with strangers. Verse 18, be happy with your own wife. Enjoy the woman you married while you were young. Verse 19, she is like a beautiful deer, a lovely fawn. Let her love satisfy you completely. Stay drunk on her love. Verse 20, and don't go stumbling into the arms of another woman. Verse 21, the Lord clearly sees everything you do. He watches where you go. Verse 22, the sins of the wicked will trap them. Those sins will be like ropes, holding them back. Verse 23, evil people will die because they refuse to be disciplined. They will be trapped by their own desires. Proverbs chapter 5, International Children's Bible, warning about adultery. Verse 1, my son, pay attention to my wisdom. Listen to my words of understanding. Verse 2, be careful to use good sense. Watch what you say. Verse 3, the words of another man's wife may seem sweet as honey. Her words may be as pleasant as olive oil. Verse 4, But in the end, she will bring you sorrow. She will cause you pain like a two-edged sword. Verse 5. She gives no thought to life. She does not know that her ways are wrong. Verse 7. Now, my sons, listen to me. Don't ignore what I say. Verse 8. Stay away from such a woman. Don't even go near the door of her house. Verse 9. If you do, you will give your riches to others, and the best years of your life will be given to someone who is cruel. Verse 10. Strangers will enjoy your wealth, and what you worked so hard for will go to someone else. Verse 11. You will groan at the end of your life. Then your health will be gone. Verse 12. Then you will say, I hated self-control. I would not listen when I was corrected. Verse 13. I would not listen to my teachers. I paid no attention to what they taught me. Verse 14. I have come very close to being completely ruined in front of a whole group of people. Verse 15. Be faithful to your own wife. She is like your own well of water from which you drink. Verse 16. You wouldn't drink from streams flowing in the city streets or squares. So be satisfied with your wife, not those outside your house. Verse 17. These things are yours alone. Don't share them with strangers. Verse 18. Be happy with the wife you married when you were young. She gives you joys, as your fountain gives you water. Verse 19. She is as lovely and graceful as a deer. Let her love always make you happy. Let her love always hold you captive. Verse 20. My son, don't be held captive by a woman who takes part in adultery. Don't hold another man's wife. Verse 21. The Lord sees everything you do. He watches where you go. Verse 22. An evil man will be caught in his evil ways. He will be tied up by his sins as if they were ropes. Verse 23. He will die because he does not control himself. He will be held captive by his own foolishness. Verse 22. The wicked man is doomed by his own sins. They are ropes that catch and hold him. Verse 23. He shall die because he would not listen to the truth. He has let himself be led away into incredible folly. Proverbs chapter 5. The Message. Nothing but sin and bones. Verses 1 through 2. Dear friend, pay close attention to this, my wisdom. Listen very closely to the way I see it. Then you'll acquire a taste for good sense. What I tell you will keep you out of trouble. Verses 3 through 6. The lips of a seductive woman are oh so sweet. Her soft words are oh so smooth. But it won't be long before she's gravel in your mouth, a pain in your gut, a wound in your heart. She's dancing down the perfumed path to death. She's headed straight for hell and is taking you with her. She hasn't a clue about real life, about who she is or where she's going. Verses 17 through 14. So, my friend, listen closely. Don't treat my words casually. Keep your distance from such a woman. Absolutely stay out of her neighborhood. You don't want to squander your wonderful life. to waste your precious life among the hard-hearted? Why should you allow strangers to take advantage of you? Why be exploited by those who care nothing for you? You don't want to end your life full of regrets, nothing but sin and bones, saying, "Oh, why didn't I do what they told me? Why did I reject a disciplined life? Why didn't I listen to my mentors or take my teachers seriously? My life is ruined. I haven't one blessed thing to show for my life." Never take love for granted. Verses 15 through 16. Do you know the saying, "Drink from your own rain barrel"? Draw water from your own spring-fed well. It's true. Otherwise, you may one day come home and find your barrel empty and your well polluted. Verses 17 through 20. Your spring water is for you and you only, not to be passed around among strangers. Bless your fresh, flowing fountain. Enjoy the wife you married as a young man, lovely as an angel, beautiful as a rose. Don't ever quit taking delight in her body. Never take her love for granted. Why will you trade enduring intimacies for cheap thrills with a prostitute? For dalliance, I'm not saying that right, with a promiscuous stranger. Verses 21 through 23. Mark well that God doesn't miss a move you make. He's aware of every step you take. The shadow of your sin will overtake you. You'll find yourself stumbling all over yourself in the dark. Death is the reward of an undisciplined life. Your foolish decisions trap you in a death. Chapter 5, Living Bible. Verse 1. Listen to me, my son. I know what I am saying. Listen. Verse 2. Watch yourself, lest you be indiscreet and betray some vital information. Verse 3. For the lips of a prostitute are as sweet as honey, and smooth flattery is her stock in trade. Verse 4. But afterwards, only a bitter conscience is left to you, sharp as a double-edged sword. Verse 5. She leads you down to death and hell. Verse 6. For she does not know the path to life. She staggers down a crooked trail and doesn't even realize where it leads. Verse 7. Young men, listen to me and never forget what I'm about to say. Verse 8. Run from her. Don't go near her house. Verse 9. Lest you fall to her temptation and lose your honor and give the remainder of your life to the cruel and merciless. Verse 10. Lest strangers obtain your wealth and you become a slave of foreigners. Verse 11. Lest afterwards you groan in anguish and in shame when syphilis consumes your body. Verse 12. And you say, "Oh, if only I had listened. If only I had not demanded my own way." Verse 13. Oh, why wouldn't I take advice? Why was I so stupid? Verse 14. For now I must face public disgrace. Verse 15. Drink from your own well, my son. Be faithful and true to your wife. Verse 16. Why should you beget children with women of the streets? Verse 17. Why share your children with those outside your home? Verse 18. Be happy. Yes, rejoice in the wife of your youth. Verse 19. Let her breast and tender embrace satisfy you. Let her love alone fill you with delight. Verse 20, why delight yourself with prostitutes, embracing what isn't yours? Verse 21, for God is closely watching you, and he weighs carefully everything you do. Dead end. My understanding is that we should be satisfied with the person God has placed in our lives and do not wonder about, but be still.